and today we are going over October predictions. Woo! I love October so much. Please let me know what you guys think. I did ask this in the groups, but I do want to know, what are you doing for Halloween? What are you doing for the month of October? Tell me your favorite movies, all that good jazz, so we can all share and celebrate together. This is going to be a really fun one. I'm really excited to go over this one with you guys. If you were interested in some additional besides just tarot content, even though I do offer exclusive tarot over on my Patreon just for them, please join us. It's, if you'd like, it's like a way of supporting the channel, but I put a bunch of content over there that just like it helps your psychic abilities grow. We go on these like field trips together and everything like that. I just posted a bunch of content. I posted a video just like totally going into my whole spiritual / psychic journey of like my whole life. Like I tried to recall as much like information and like events and stuff like that. And my hope is that when you enjoy that one, I hope you enjoy that, but a lot of my abilities were there and I just didn't realize that. And that's pretty much how it is for everyone. Like I watch people do things and in my head is because I have experience. I'm like, ooh, you're doing psychic stuff right now and you don't know it. So that's my hope for that. I also went over Machu Picchu and went to the Akashic Records and stuff like that. That was so fun, so cool, love that. And then I also did a Reiki and coding for improving your manifesting, which is one thing that's so cool about Reiki, coding, spiritual work, all that good jazz, is when you do it, you're basically opening up a series of energies, events, things lining up, people. It's this huge smorgasbord of things. And so I love that you can come up with something general, but you're doing more detailed stuff than what's at the surface. And I love that. I think that's so cool. Super versatile. What else did I do? We went on a field trip to Atlantis, which was really fun. And trying to think. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, I remember. We went over, it's really cool, but a lot of psychic stuff is happening around you in the ways that you understand the interaction with the environment around you. And we talk about how when things aren't like going your way or things feel out of alignment, like what that actually means. And by understanding that, it will just totally change your interactions, which will then benefit your mood, which will benefit your mindset and benefit going forward what to do from there. So we go over that as well. So if you're interested in that, that's over there on the Patreon. You can see that in the description below. Other than that, let's get into this. We've got 4 groups in front of us. Group number 1, 2, 3, 4. Give yourself a moment to think of October. You can think of a calendar. You can think of the word October. You can maybe think of things associated with October. And you're going to, oh, my spirit guide's interjecting. Oh, my spirit guide's saying, no, just think of October. Okay, cool. We're just keep it simple. Just think October. And then allow yourself from that mindset to then pick the group you resonate with. Great psychic way of connecting to your psychic abilities. So I'm going to give you a moment to do that. And now that you have, let's get into those October predictions, starting off with group number 1. Group number 1, let's look at your October predictions by looking at the cards. Your first card is the Lover's card, upright. Then we have 4 of Cups in reverse, 5 of Wands upright, 8 of Wands upright, and 4 of Swords upright. Ooh, I think this is being read chronologically. Give me one moment to look at everything, look at the details. Sorry, I'm already pre-reading, and consult my spirit guides. I'll be with you in one moment. Oh, this is I would say this is a very good month. Very lively. You're going to be definitely, before I even get into this is going to be kind of an all-consuming month of your life where you feel like you got things to do, decisions to make. Sometimes it feels like you're watching the world, and other times you feel like you're living in it. That's definitely you this month, which is awesome. So first, actually, the first week of October, you are going to find a romantic partner. And my spirit guide described them as very compatible. However, they said it is not guaranteed this will be a long-term thing. And they said, don't force it to be. They said you need to practice being comfortable, practicing just enjoying this other person's comfortability and allowing it to be what it is for what it is right now, and just kind of let it be. Enjoy you're getting along. Enjoy it's easy to talk to them, vibe with them, other things that we're implying here, other forms of compatibility. Oh, my spirit guide gave me kind of like a cheeky grin and kind of went like this, like, oh yeah, like lots of compatibility in that kind of case, if you get what I'm hinting at. And so everything's going to be really nice and kind of give you a sense of, pep in your step in this way. But think of it as like you're practicing enjoying it. I do want to preference that we're not saying in the long term, if you are in a position where the other person is trying to maybe force you into something that's more casual and you want something more serious, we're not saying in the long-term future you want to try to force yourself into that narrative because you think you need to learn to be more comfortable in the moment. It's not that. Think of this as just you practicing enjoying things, like being very present and enjoying it for what it is. And sometimes we're practicing not getting in our own way. Oh, my spirit guide's going, that's what it is. It's like you're learning to say like, this is great. And that's all I need to worry about at this moment. And then in the long term, you can, make decisions. But just, it's a fun October for you romantically in that kind of way. My spirit guide is really chiming in. They're like, definitely. So if my spirit guide's super opinionated about it, I'm excited for you. So starting off October really strong, you find a romantic partner. Don't think about it too deeply. Just enjoy it for what it is. Lots of compatibility. Very easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Going forward. Then from that, as the week continues, or going into that week, second week kind of thing, we have this revitalization that you feel for life, which is really cool. My spirit guide described it as the colors are brighter, things are more vivid. You feel like the things, they described it as, and they were showing me an image of like, how some days you go home and you watch a movie, you eat a snack, you're hanging out, and you just feel like, is this all I ever do? And then there's other days that you're like, this is it. This is the moment. I'm living my little dreamy, practical magic girl life, which, by the way, is basically one of the best Halloween movies, period. Just saying, if you watch Practical Magic, please sound off in the comments below. Love it! Anyways, so you're just definitely going to feel throughout October this extra sense of like you're on an adventure. Everything feels a lot more passionate and exciting to interact with. And you know what I best like to describe this as? When sometimes you're going for a walk, maybe this is back from work or school or whatever, and you're listening to music, and suddenly it seems like the right songs are coming in order to make it feel like you're in a soundtrack, and suddenly this mundane walk, this thing you've done a million times, feels super deep and special. It feels like that's how your life is throughout October, which is really beautiful. So lots of passion returning to your life from just perspective alone. Now, I will say, middle of the month, there is quite a contentious time period with some very close friends, my spirit guide said. Now, this is the good news. It's not an end of any friendships. It is a redefining of friendships, is how my spirit guide puts it. Something really important I want you to think about with the energy here is there is a lot, like both parties, you and the other party really cares. You really care about the other person. You're upset that you're having a disagreement with the other person. You both don't want to back down. Five of Wands is very, I don't want to back down energy. But something that's really interesting here is normally Five of Wands is like toxic. It's like the other one won't back down because the other one keeps baiting the other, and the other one can't help but respond. This is like for both parties. But in this case, it's more like you can't back down because you don't want the friendship to deteriorate. You don't want to back down because both of you feel your points really, you want them to be heard. It's not for the sake of being right. It's for the sake of being understood. And there is a fighting for wanting to be understood, but feeling hurt and frustrated that maybe the other one doesn't want to necessarily initially comply or can't quite wrap their mind around it initially. And this is for both parties. You're doing it too. So keep in mind that if that feels uncomfortable, a lot of it's coming from love, and both of you are growing, but growing isn't always comfortable. The beautiful thing is it's not about growing out from each other and a disbanding, but a sort of intense redefining of it. So don't worry, when you feel that part of yourself feeling like, is my world crashing down? Is this the end of an era? Nope, it's the end of things are going to be a little bit different, but in a way that works better for both of you. And remind yourself that you're both fighting for the friendship and not against one another. And that might be even, honestly, I would highly recommend in the tension of it all, saying that, being like, I'm really mad at you right now, or I'm really frustrated, I want to be heard, but I am fighting for us. And that can really like chill everyone out, both yourself and the other party, to know like, we'll figure it out, but just know we're both trying to come to the same place because we do ultimately care about the other one, which is really beautiful. Now going forward, we have the Eight of Wands. Now this is really interesting because the way my spirit guide was describing this card almost sounded like we were getting into Seven of Cups territory. They talked about there being actually 8 different paths, and I just want to be clear with them again if it was really 8. They said 6 to 10. Oh, okay, so 6 to 10. It just depends. This is a general reading after all. 6 to 10 paths, they said. And they said the difference between, I said, well, why didn't you choose it being like 7 of Cups, which is very choosing out of different options? They said, because those are options. These are very set paths. Like once you choose them, a lot of things are automatically lining up after that. And they said this is something that you both simultaneously don't want to take too long to make this path choice you're making. And they're very, let me just double check if it's going to be like identifiable to you. Yeah, very identifiable, very clear. It's kind of like the same concept of somebody changing careers or something like that. It's like, you're about to walk into a new path. Your daily life is going to be different than it was before, or be different than another option. So it's very clear to you when this is happening, these 6 to potentially 10 pathways. But they're very set. And instead of it being a 7 of Cups, where it's like one singular option, and then like a myriad of things, these are more like set. Now, with these pathways, they said that you don't want to take too long to make the decision, but they said you also, and this one kind of felt like the strongest thing to keep in mind, is you don't want to get in your head about it, just make it, but you want to be clear of not making the decision based on initial feelings, because some pathways might feel stronger for you because you're like, you know what, that's what I'm into now, and you're really excited about it. And normally that's great to go with that type of gut feeling. But in your case, in this particular situation, you want to also keep in mind simultaneously of both initial feelings and combining it with like, well, theoretically, as I go down this path, these are potentially long-term goals you have or long-term options you see popping up potentially in that path. Does that work for you? How do you feel about that? And you're kind of bringing it all together. So you might end up going with an option where it's like, yeah, you're excited about it, but maybe not as excited as another option, but you know that the long-term path is like much more your vibe and you'll be happier with in the long run. So keep that in mind. That's more towards like, remember we're going chronological. So this is like third kind of week. Yeah, my spirit guide's like definitely third week of October. Now, finally, we actually, despite all that excitement, Four of Swords is kind of funny. It says that you will be spending most likely Halloween alone. Totally voluntary wise. It's almost like you're getting invited to places and you're like, I don't feel like it. It's very, I want to take a nap. I want to turn off. It's almost even a turn off Halloween energy vibe. It's like you're enjoying Halloween throughout the month. Pardon me. You're enjoying spookiness throughout the month. And then you get to that final day and you're like, oh, you know what, I would hit the spot right now? Turning everything off, chilling out, going to bed. I don't need anything else. I just want to recuperate. And so it's a positive thing. And it really is just exactly what you want to do at the moment. But it's sort of like right when for everybody else, it might be like a party moment. For you, you did that earlier in the month and you're like, and I'm ready to rejuvenate. So it's very satisfying. That's a very intense thing I'm getting from you. You're just like, yes. And you feel very, I will say this, you feel very like, yeah, that was the right decision. This is very satisfying. So I'm excited for you. Quite a very flavorful month, if you will. A lot of big things happening for you. I'm excited to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Please let me know, what are you doing for October to celebrate in general? Any specific plans? I'm excited to hear about it. Please, of course, list your favorite Halloween movies because we all need to binge them. I love you so much. I'll see you in the next one, and let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's look at your October predictions by looking at the cards. First, we've got Two of Pentacles upright, the Queen of Pentacles upright. Ooh, a lot of pentacles. Four of Pentacles in reverse, Knight of Swords upright, Eight of Swords in reverse. Give me one moment. Ooh, I really like the energy behind this. Give me one moment to look at all the details of this and to consult my spirit guides. I'll be with you in one moment. Okay, this is an awesome month for you. I'm really excited. It starts one way, I think very closed up, very focused on the physical world, and then you just sort of bloom and feel almost like you can't be contained by anything and living your most authentic life and version of yourself and feel really great about it. So loving this. I don't want to say transformation. You know what? I'm going to go with transformation. Transformation. I'm excited for you. So first we start off in the very beginning of October, and there is quite a lot of stress and feeling overwhelmed. A lot of evaluating is what you are experiencing. I want to grammatically say this correctly. Is what you're experiencing now in your daily, the way you're going about life, career kind of thing, worth it for the long term. Think of this as the same as when somebody's like, I'm paying my dues, I'm doing all this stuff I don't want to do, but it will get me the better position. It will get me into this, grad school, blah, 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 that type of thing. And it's too much right now. It's definitely feeling like it's interfering with your time. It feels like you don't have a personal life. It feels like the two are kind of running into each other. And I'm definitely getting a strong, let me just double check with my spirit guide. Okay, They said that's correct. I'm getting a strong, like, there are ways it interferes with your life that you might not be conscientious of. Like, let's say you're complaining about your career, and we're also including school in this too. And you don't realize that that is a way you're bringing it into your personal. If you're not like shutting off, turning off, letting it be a separate thing, letting yourself therefore get the recuperation time you desperately need. But we do things for a reason. We're always communicating with ourselves. The universe is ourselves. We are always communicating with ourselves and trying to give ourselves the signs. And it's very like we do things for a reason to sort of force it in front of our face, so to speak. So if you find yourself in that position where you're making it difficult for yourself even more so, besides the experience itself, that's not a coincidence. You're trying to tell yourself something. And you're saying to yourself, I am overwhelmed. I do need to reevaluate. Now, the beautiful thing is going into the second week, because this is being read chronologically, which is really fun, you are going to get actually an unexpected help or visitor, you could say. My spirit guide described it as someone you just totally would not anticipate being the person to help you. They kind of come out of left field, if you will. And I did get a very heavy association with red. And I was asking my spirit guide, like, just to be specific, like, is this going to be overt, like red lipstick, red, shirt, like very in your face? You will be able to recognize it's associated with red in some way. And they said, yes, like very in your face. Yeah, my spirit guide's interacting again and saying very in your face. So, very in your, let me just double check something. Okay, no, okay, my spirit, I'm just double checking things with my spirit guide. And so the point is going on, it'll be obvious to you. And the cool thing is they're going to help you out a lot. They will really take that stress off your plate right now in that moment and help you then start to reevaluate things, because the way they approach their daily life, the way they approach their craft is how my spirit guide put it. It will make you reevaluate your own situation, because you're not only asking the question like, is this worth it? Do I want to go through this grind to get to the potential of X, Y, and Z outcome? But sometimes we get lost in that daily grind and think, I only see it as something to get done. And then you see somebody who's lost in the moment, really having a lot of fun in that momentary experience. It's kind of like sometimes errands can feel like a pain, or you feel like you're having the time of your life hanging out with someone, which, by the way, I totally loved. I saw this TikTok the other day, which I totally agreed with, which is they were like, why do we have to put a limit on our adult friendships? Like, can't we just get together and like, do errands? Like, it's not about what we're doing, but spending quality time together. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. That's so real. That's so true. I love that. Please sound off in the comments below if you have someone like that, or you want someone like that, or you don't want someone like that. But the point is, that energy of someone being with you, it's like you see them putting that into their own life, and that helps you also re-examine your own, not only in choices you want to make, but re-examining things in a way that can make life enjoyable in this immediate moment, which is really beautiful. Then we get the middle of the month, and this is when you just really bloom, and I'm kind of seeing that they're all inspiring the other. And I can hear a spirit guide again saying, definitely. There is this feeling that you've kind of been holding yourself back, and we're really focusing on the personality aspect of it. That's really important. Traditionally, the Four of Pentacles in reverse refers to like money and stuff like that, but we're not talking about that. So you're holding yourself back. You feel like maybe people would maybe disagree with your opinion, or you feel maybe it will be not something everybody can relate to. And there's this sense of you releasing it and just being like, you know what? Forget it. I don't want to hold back anymore. I'm comfortable. I'd like to open it up. But while we see that middle of the month, you kind of making that mental decision and maybe even just starting to exercise that part of yourself, oh my goodness, by like the third week of October, a little bit before then, but we get the Knight of Swords, which not only confirms this, but it's like you go 0 to 180 fast, like really fast. And suddenly you are expressing yourself very fluidly to the point where it's more than you waiting for an opportunity to be like, here I am, here's my thoughts and opinions, I'm gonna, really put it out there, to you are just running in uninvited, just being like, this is what I think, in a really good way, in a way that's liberating for you. Maybe there's a part of you that's felt like you've even had to hold back waiting for opportunities to express certain ideas, and now you're like, why do I need to do that anymore? And so you go from being like, you know what, I'm making a decision and I'm starting to think about it and exercise it, and now I'm going with it. And that's then when we get the 8 of Swords in reverse. And I'm trying to remember how my spirit guide put it. How did they put it? They described it as like freeing yourself. Like I remember how they put it. They said that you will not, by the end of the month around Halloween time, want to associate yourself with anything that isn't the most authentic alignment with whatever your truth is. If you don't want casual by the end of the month, you don't want people that like you but maybe don't agree with you. You only want to be that most authentic version of yourself and be around other people that match that energy. You only want to feel the highest of the highs in feeling super comfortable with expressing yourself and with a supportive network that is going to add to that and lift up with you and be in a similar disposition to you. So it's like an explosion in those last 2 weeks of October of you just being like, yes. And I want to point this out. It feels like it becomes a dominant part of your focus. Like you go from being like, man, I'm so overwhelmed with like work/school, like what do I want to do in the long term? And you're contemplating these big life decisions. And it's like you go from looking inwards to expressing it all outwards. And suddenly, because this feels like, I want to be clear, you don't make a concrete decision for a lot of you in this month, but the thoughts are getting, you're thinking like, what am I going to do next? And then this person's making it easier, helping you adjust to the right nows easier. But suddenly the thought in itself kind of gets put a little bit to the back burner because you feel just so emotionally fulfilled from entering this era in your life. So I'm excited for you. I would love to know, please, with October happening, how are you celebrating the month? How are you celebrating Halloween? How are you, what are the movies you're watching, the snacks? We need to know the movies because we're all binge watching and we all want to tell each other to watch stuff. I always tell everyone to watch Practical Magic and The Love Witch. Those are the top 2. Besides all the classics, Please let me know. I love you guys so much. And let's get ready for Group number 3. Let's look at your October predictions by looking at the cards. We've got Ace of Cups in reverse. Ooh, right next to 5 of Swords upright. Okay, that's a vibe. Page of Wands upright. Knight of Cups in reverse. And 7 of Wands in reverse. Give me 1 second to look at the details of all of these and consult my spirit guides because I'm picking up some very strong vibes. I just want to be certain about everything. So just give me 1 moment. Yeah, I was for certain picking up some vibes. Okay, I'm really glad we're going over this because ultimately this is a really strong, decisive, life-changing, powerful month for you, but it's great we're going over this because sometimes when we're going through these big changes in how we want to interact with others, choices and ways we view ourselves and our self-worth, it can sometimes not feel, I don't want to say it doesn't feel the best. I guess that's a part of it. It's kind of like you might think, am I doing something wrong? And you're not. And we're going to go over all of that so that you can enjoy it rather than feel conflicted by it and feel more empowered by it. Because the empowerment part is really important with understanding just how much power you actually hold in your manifesting and everything like that. So we'll get into that. First, we're going to start off with the Ace of Cups in reverse. And my spirit talked about a long-term romance for you. Can it be friendship at all? No, my spirit guide said only romance. There's a long-term romance for you where you just sort of put a wall between you and the other person. Now, it isn't an end. I don't see like a breakup or it being over. It's more, the way it was described to me is you're really tired of the ups and downs they sort of put you through. This could be through their indecisiveness. Maybe they make you feel high, low, lows, that things like that. Whatever it is, you're like, I need a break. I'm done. I'm tired. I need a moment. And it's a very hard boundary line you put up. And initially you're just sort of like frustrated and annoyed, but you very quickly enjoy the break. You maybe you have a couple days where you're kind of like, I don't want to say numb, like totally empty numb. It's more like you haven't quite on some physical body level accepted you can release and relax. And then a couple days go by, you realize you can, and then you're really benefiting from it. So there's just kind of a temporary, I kind of see that going on for like a good chunk of October for the time being, but you're kind of like, I need a moment. I need a moment. I need to pull back on my emotions. I need to not allow you access to my emotions for a little while. I need a second to evaluate. Now, what I do see happening during that time, and this is awesome, is in the Five of Swords upright, there is commentary about the other individual being forced to because they can't ride off of your emotions. And that's how it's being described. It's like they depend on however you respond, they then respond. They're really like you're taking the lead, if you will. And that's important. I want you to remember that. We're going to come back to that concept. But because they can't depend on it anymore, it forces them to self-evaluate. And as you can see by all these people around them in the background, it's not just you, but they realize they tend to approach everything and in a very, how does it benefit them, and not concerning how it affects the people around them. And so they realize not only with you, but in every aspect of their life, it's causing people to generally want to pull away or turn away or view them a certain way. And it's like they suddenly wake up and are self-aware and they're like, ooh, I don't know if I want to be that person. I didn't realize I was having that effect on other people. So it's very strong, that type of thing. But going forward, then we have in the middle of the month, because this is being chronologically on a timeline, but in the Page of Wands upright, it talks about you taking a leadership approach to kind of everything in your life and really stepping in that with more certainty and awareness and just being like, I'm doing this. Now, initially, I do feel a tired sense from you of just being like, why am I always the one that has to take the lead? It's like in this middle of the month, you're very conscious of it and just stepping into that role. And it's more like you're making that decision to be like, and I'm doing this. But you are self-reflective that it feels like you've got to be the one to make the moves. You've got to be the one to make the decisions in a lot of ways. And there's understandably frustration. But my spirit guides are asking you, in order to truly harness your capabilities in manifesting, you have to become self-aware and ask yourself, are you always taking the lead, or do you just know what is the best option before anyone else? Like, you're self-aware before everybody else is. And again, we're not talking about like, try the best you can to let go of those frustrations of, well, I want support and of course, we're not saying those aren't valid feelings, but stick with me here. When we are not conscious of who we are and the signs around us, they sort of hold us. They tell us where to go rather than us benefiting and working with it, and us telling the signs what we need next to be shown. Do you see what I'm saying? You're leading it, or it's leading you. And I'm just talking about this in general for everybody. And for you, you're not aware that you are so incredibly conscious and tapping into something. And we're talking more than common sense. We're talking about like intuition, psychic like ways. A lot of the time people aren't always aware of how they're exhibiting this energy. They're not always, it's like you're making a decision before you've even realized how you've come to that decision. Before you've even become aware of where did I get this information. It comes so seamlessly to you. And when you are tapping into that regularly, it can feel frustrating because it's like, why can't everybody keep up? Why do I always have to be the one to take the lead and go to where to next or whatever and stuff like that? But put that frustration aside. Instead, see it as something that you can benefit from, that you can lean into. And the more you focus on your strength and abilities, the more you can be like, wow, so I'm actually able to be conscious of how I communicate with the universe and my intuition. Let me start wielding this. Let me start asking the universe to show me some signs. And sometimes when we are getting our answers, they're not always through synchronicities. When you're using your psychic abilities, it can be through that intuitive pull, just feeling like you need to be at a certain place at a certain time. You just feel like you need to make a certain decision. That is a way you can be communicating with yourself and receiving answers. And so the more and more you get excited about this and more wield it, the less it feels like you getting or not getting help, and more aligning yourself with equal-minded people. So instead of you being in a position where it's like, well, if you don't take ownership, then other people guide you, back to the concept of, are you being guided by the signs, or are the signs guiding you? Instead of people kind of forcing you to lead, you end up leading yourself into a position where other people are matching that energy, and all of you are on the same equivalent path, equivalent approach, and you will feel like you are then getting the support you need. You will feel like you're working on a totally different wavelength. You'll end up finding out a lot of that middleman or frustrating kind of grunt work you don't want to do suddenly disappears because it's not needed anymore. Finally, you are acknowledging that you are in the quicker, like, I'm trying to put this into words. It's like sometimes people think they need to do all these other things to get to the end goal, and one day they wake up and give themselves permission just to get to the end goal. This would be comparing, what I'm trying to explain here is like, let's say you want to make a song, right? And there's a part of you that's like, no, I've got to do X, Y, and Z and learn these instruments and this music for 2 years, and I got to go to this school. And one day you wake up and go, what if I just tried singing and winged it, tried playing a part of an instrument and winged it? What if I did what I could in each moment and figured it out one moment to the next? And what if I just gave myself permission to make that song I wanted to make right now? And it's like you already, little do you know, you already are capable of playing the instruments. Little do you know, you already are good enough to sing. Little do you know, you already know how to make the song, and you can just do it. You not only can just give yourself permission to do it, but you also have the skills and aren't allowing yourself to be conscious of using those skills. And that's basically what's happening. So this is you taking on a different approach. This is you actively being more of a leader without feeling like you're forced to. This is you realizing what it actually means. This is you enjoying what it actually means. This is you, through enjoying what it means, realizing that the grunt work, the middleman, everybody kind of putting you in a certain position starts to fade away. And instead you end up attracting to you more like-minded people that also are intuitively on that next level, also really good at knowing what needs to be happening next. More and more people around you that quote unquote feel like they have I don't want this to come in a derogatory sense, but sometimes you'll feel like, man, do people not have common sense? It's not that they don't have common sense, it's that they just don't have the abilities you have. They could one day, and they can build that if they want, but you already are naturally gifted, and you find those like-minded people through being excited about that and proactive about using it. Now, going forward, we have the Knight of Cups in reverse. And this is what I mean by we want to be conscious of how we're approaching this month and our feelings and stuff like that in order to enjoy it rather than condemn ourselves for it. So we talked about over here, that emotional wall going up with that certain person temporarily. In the Knight of Cups in reverse, in general, there's a lot of affection from you that seems to be pulled back. Like, you definitely aren't as affectionate in general to other people. There's like a mass pullback. And this is not something to judge yourself or be like, what's wrong with me? Am I cold? Am I becoming cut off? No. In this particular case, you're rejuvenating yourself, and you're instead being like, okay, we gotta reevaluate our life and who deserves access to that emotional energy. So we're pulling all of it back, and then essentially from giving yourself that little bit of break, that little bit of moment to say, I don't got to please everyone all the time. And not everyone is allowed access to this all the time. You instead end up seeing who you do feel like deserves it, and then you start redistributing it. And that's what's really cool. It's, again, everything kind of happens at the right time and right place. It's very much that energy of when, do you ever go through a time period where there's just like 2 weeks and you just can't get anything done and you're like, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. You just needed a break, and you're forcing yourself to get that break. You're doing that very much in a different kind of more emotional way, but you're also reevaluating how you want to approach people. Do they deserve your intuition? Do they deserve your emotional affection? Do they, like, who is that? And then it's not about cutting people off and punishing, nothing like that. It's more that because you say to yourself in the universe, I'd like to be an affectionate person, but I only want to be surrounded by people I want to be, affectionate with, that I feel inspired to be. Then essentially the beautiful thing is when you pull it back, if you're not giving it to those same people you gave to before, guess what? The right people come naturally towards you, and you're basically saying through your actions and energy and emotional mindset, I'm not going to be worn out from giving it to people who can't totally appreciate it. And then the cool part is the people that do end up rejuvenating you back, returning that same energy back. It feels authentic. It feels right. Going back to that concept of like, you just know who it is. You know it feels right. Things like that. And I love that for you because, again, it totally makes us reevaluate where we're at in our life and what it means on a grander scale. Now going forward, then we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. I'm trying to remember. Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry. It's a lot of information that I'm both trying to remember from my spirit guide and simultaneously, what's the word? Like put it out there to you guys. So anyways, in the Seven of Wands in reverse, my spirit guide said that a new era is going to be starting, where by the end of the month, there is a very, very strong, like hard snap decision. It doesn't matter if you entered the first day of a project, you will literally immediately get up mid-sentence from someone talking. You won't even worry if it offends anyone. Walk out of the room immediately. If there is any form of disagreement, anything that just feels like it's hard or difficult, anything that puts you in a position where you're like, why am I meeting resistance? Why is this hard? Why is this person disagreeing with me? You don't need anymore to allow yourself to live a couple of examples to then be able to give yourself those examples. It's like you don't need to put yourself anymore in scenarios where there's enough scenarios that happen that you're able to use them as examples and say to yourself, see, that's why I couldn't trust this person. See, that's why I should leave this situation. Instead, the second you slightly are not into it, you're like, I'm grabbing my stuff and I'm going. Bye. I don't need to do this anymore. And you just have a super low tolerance for anything that isn't easy. Anything where it isn't like we're gelling and we work together. The friendship, the co-workership, the job, whatever it is, all aspects of your life. By the end of it, you're like, nope, I am very certain this is my life, this is my motto, and this is who I am. And my spirit guides are very like, do that, follow that. That's good intuition. That's like, because again, when we talk about, are the signs guiding you or you guiding them, you're essentially saying, this is my new boundary, this is my new protocol. I want, as easy as it is for me to understand what needs to be done in every situation and scenario, I know when something works and doesn't, and because I know what works, I don't need to tolerate anything that doesn't. And therefore, again, back to the clearing of the middlemen, back to clearing out the difficult positions that don't mesh with you. If you say no, but you say yes to something else, then all the no goes away and only the yes pours in. But you have to set that clear boundary, and by the end of the month, that boundary is real clear. You've sorted through some emotions. You've figured out your inner power. You've let people know, hey, you got to figure out your own stuff for yourself. I'm not figuring it out for you. I'm taking the lead in my life, but you got to figure out your own stuff for you. So I'm excited for you. Very, very strong month for you. Very intense. Please give yourself that support and emotional response that you're not being difficult. You're not being, curmudgeon-y. Nothing about you is anything other than somebody really self-evaluating, coming into their power. And I would definitely say this is a month where you really go from numb to deeply sure of yourself, passionate feeling, and feeling like you're in the right environment and guiding yourself in the right environment for others to match that. So I love that for you. Please let me know in the comments below, because it's October. What are you doing for October? What are you doing for Halloween? What are your favorite movies to watch? I always tell everybody my favorite top 2 movies to watch besides the classics are Practical Magic and The Love Witch. Please let me know what you guys think below. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 4. Group number 4. Let's look at your October predictions by looking at the cards. We've got Ace of Wands in reverse. 3 of Swords in reverse. Man, that's been a while since I've gotten that card. Oh, it's been a while since I got this card. Oh, my brain just died. 8 Pentacles. Afraid. 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Ooh, and a Justice in reverse. Interesting. Give me a moment to look at all of this and consult my spirit guides, and I will be with you in one moment. Okay, I'm really glad we're going over this. There's some things in particular towards the end of the month I want to go over with you in order for you to benefit from it rather than to feel like uncomfortable or feel like what's going wrong and basically essentially have it work in your benefit and change some things. But first, let's start off with a really strong beginning of the month. This is being read chronologically in a time order. So in the Ace of Wands in reverse, there's just you're just starting off the month feeling like there is this new lease on life, new passion, you're pumped, you're excited. It's an extremely positive thing that's essentially popping up. You're definitely feeling like a very strong passion and a strong passion for your individuality, which is really cool. So definitely excitement. Oh wow, everything's vivid and beautiful and colorful and yeah, this is who I am and I love it and I'm excited about it. Now with such an enthusiasm that starts the month, and I do want to point this out, this is not purely because of you know how a lot of people feel excited around October and fall. It's an exciting season to get to celebrate. This is more on a personal level for you. That's an additional benefit, but it definitely feels like everything's being filtered from the personal lens of who you are as an individual now. Now, keeping that in mind, that enthusiasm really benefits you throughout the month, because then we've got going into more the like second week of October, we've got the Three of Swords in reverse. This is you just being completely open to shadow work, being completely open to making some epiphanies that maybe in the past were difficult, but now you can kind of even laugh and feel comfortable acknowledging it. It's kind of like sometimes it feels hard to acknowledge when you haven't been treated right. And it can feel painful, or you feel like you're not good enough. And in this case, you're almost laughing and being like, wow, yeah, like I was not treated great. And I'm realizing that and now rewriting the way I viewed that relationship with that person. And we're including, like friendship, family, romance, everything like that. Coworkers, But the point is, you're very okay around this time period, like facing any part of yourself that you would like to understand why it is you're coming from those uncomfortable feelings, reviewing the past, things like that. You're just really having it come up, and it's very comfortable, and you're enthusiastic about tackling it, which is really beautiful. This then leads to the middle of the month, which is the Eight of Pentacles. Now, traditionally, Eight of Pentacles tends to come up when someone's really passionate about their work, but this is a different energy. You are just so deeply present. I see a lot of like losing yourself in the individual work you're doing. So think of this person who is creating these indents in the pentacles, creating their shapes and details. It's like they're not thinking, oh, I have 3 hours left to work, or I got to do this, and these are my dreams of the future, and I'll do this and then do it. It's like you're so lost in watching I don't know what you would call this, like the chip, the ice pick, whatever, push into the metal. You're watching it happen. You're watching the textures be created. You're finding yourself really conscious of the feeling of it pushing in. You're aware of like the textures. You're really, truly losing yourself in the moment. So again, it's less about the passion of the work and more just time really flies by because you're so in it, rather than all the ideas socially, creatively, financially that are attached to work itself. You're totally not even in that mind frame. It's all passing you by. You're just in it. And it's extremely meditative rather than it being about being in it in the work. It's like you're in it. You could replace this work with another activity and it's the same concept. It's about you being in it rather than what it is you're even doing. So definitely I imagine that's going to really make time pass by quickly and easily. You're going to feel a deep sense of meditation and calm and relaxation because you're just so in it. You're going to be finding yourself, hey, could I live my life not wrapped up in these other ideas, but could this be the most fulfilling part no matter what I'm doing, which is really beautiful and contemplative. Now, when we get to this more, I don't want to say difficult, but we do want to go over it so that it's better for you. In the Five of Pentacles in reverse towards the third week of October, there's a lot of karma releasing from you because you've just been so open all month. And this is, I want to be clear, being open is a deeply powerful thing. It is hard for a lot of people to get in the mindset into, but you're enthusiastically approaching it. And essentially it's just releasing the karma, letting it all come out of you. And when we say releasing, we're talking about, think of it as like black smoke, like just fuming from you and dissipating off into the air. And so when this happens, there's going to be some discombobulated things that happen. Plans getting canceled, things not working out as you had hoped. And instead of fretting about it and thinking, is something going wrong? Am I unaligned? Am I in a bad place? What's going on? Is this something happening to me? Think of all of these events as potential paths that would have taught you some sort of lesson that maybe would have not always been your favorite, might have even caused you some discomfort. And so what looks like is initially not working out is in fact the universe going, I see that you don't need to learn this lesson anymore. You're not holding this karma anymore. You are already facing and open to facing things in a more comfortable light. Because I'm gonna let you in a little secret. I've only said this a million times, but you can face these versions of yourself, karma, just general, whatever you're emotionally repressing, things you need to work out. And if you avoid them, you're going to have to deal with them at some point, this lifetime or the next or whatever. And the last way you can receive that message and face it and deal with it is through physical life lessons. So anything that happens in the physical world. And so whenever something happens, rather than it being like you having an internal epiphany, if you want to straight up just go talk to your spirit guides and whomever to help work through these things, these are sort of the more first things. These are the first type of more easier ways. It can be more comfortable. It can be an easier, it's kind of like you go and talk things out and you face them and it's just a comfortable conversation and you cry or you let go or whatever, or you have to be forced to face it. And essentially you face it in the more comfortable way. And then this then allows the universe to go, oh, then you don't need to learn this anymore. You got it. And so again, when things aren't working out around this time period, every time think of it as like a blessing of like, oh, great, it didn't work out. Oh, that probably would have led to something that would not have been the vibe. Great. Thanks, universe. Thanks for taking care of me. I'm glad it didn't work out. That gave me my answer I needed. I know now. You know what I mean? So this can be a lot more comfortable with you. But if you didn't know, and you're just kind of picking up on the like, oh, this is all making me feel weird. Is something wrong with me? This is then what leads to the justice in reverse. And again, we can change this. There seems to be a strong discomfort like on Halloween and around Halloween, especially with anything going out. The discomfort mostly comes from, it's like you saying, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to put more energy and fun and putting myself out there and hope it gets reciprocated back. It's this like the justice card, it tends to deal with this concept of like whatever you put in, you hope to get back in equal measure. But with it being in reverse, it seems like it's imbalanced what you're going to get back, if it is going to be equal or not, but it's going to be imbalanced in the quality or the quantity that it happens. So sometimes you might get back a lot of energy and someone really reciprocates it, and then you might be really excited and you get nothing back and you feel awkward. And the best way to combat this so that you're not lost in feeling like you're pulled by, oh, do I keep making the wrong decisions type of energy, or you're trying to put your best foot forward and basically make things be as great as they can possibly be. But as wonderful as that is to normally be proactive, instead you're going to approach it in this way. One, you're going to want to come up with some form of comfort bag, is the only way I can put it. So this bag is going to contain things that give you some form of peace of mind. So we're talking about anything that's like a snack, a little game, a sensory toy, something to kind of get your mind off things. It's something that's like your comfort stuff. A lot of girly pops love their Sunny Angels and Calico Critters and Sylvania families. All of those are welcomed. But you're basically coming up with some sort of comfort bag. And we're talking to everybody, he, she, they, everybody. And that comfort bag is going to be something that kind of is your grounding point. So before you kind of lunge out with I'm going to do this and I'm going to bring this energy, you're just going to be like, this is where I'm at. I'm finding the most comfort here. I'm coming from this energy here. And then from that place, when you go to make a decision, instead of being like, I hope if I do this, I get this response. Instead, you're going to say to yourself, what would I just purely like to do? Purely, I'm not going to worry if anybody else wants to match that energy. So that instead of, let's say you want to enter a party and you want to enter it with big energy normally, and your hope is that everybody else will get excited, and then you'll kind of start this fun, jovial, we're all getting excited. Instead, you're going to stop yourself and say, am I doing that because I hope I get a response, or just because I want to be excited and jovial and I don't care what response I get in return? Because if the answer is no, I'm really focused on what I'm going to get in return, reevaluate that. Because whatever decision you make that you feel most confident about, you're not going to be concerned or self-conscious of whatever you get back unevenly. Instead, you're just going to have a good time. But if you're making decisions hoping you'll get X, Y, and Z results right around that time period specifically, you're going to feel a disproportion of happiness, of highs and lows, and this feeling like you're waiting to see what will happen and then how you'll respond, rather than you already enter it knowing like, I've made a decision, I'm happy about how I've interacted with this person, because no matter what they do, that's what I wanted to do. So you're really coming at it from that time period of, here's my little comfort bag to restabilize me, ground me, pull me back to who I really am, have fun, take a second to recuperate, come from an energy of who I am as an individual, what I'm initially passionate about, what I initially want to do, rather than the influence of others. And you're also going to be thinking about, when you go to make any decision, interaction, whatever, you're going to say to yourself, is this what I want to do purely? No results. The results may vary. We don't know what's going to happen, but is this what I want to do? What I'm doing is enough for me of finding happiness and excitement. And then that will make everything so much easier, so much more aligned. You won't feel weird. You won't feel discombobulated. It will be great for you. So I love this for you because there is a lot of like tenderness, powerful vulnerability and openness and enthusiasm and excitement about this whole process. A lot of like finding your zen in the moment in a very intense, strong way. But then we got to reevaluate what could have been uncomfortable and made you feel like something was going wrong, when we can realize how everything is going right and add to that. So please let me know in the comments below. In addition to liking this video and subscribing and all that good jazz, it's October. What are you doing? What are you doing for Halloween? What movies are you going to watch? I always tell everybody, period, besides the classics, watch Practical Magic and The Love Witch. Those are the best ones. But please let me know in the comments below. I love you so much. Happy Halloween. Goodbye.